Hey everybody, welcome to the Rhetoric Rabbit Hole. We got Rachel and Q joining us, joining us all the way from Maryland. How's
Thanks for having us.
yeah. How's the weather up there?
It's raining, but the rain is warm and all the leaves fell off the trees. So it's a mess out there.
I gotcha. It's pretty warm here too, like surprisingly warm. I don't know. Like, what do you think, Devin? You're outside a lot. Is it like comparatively
Yesterday
to?
was better than today.
No, I
That's
mean,
nice.
no, I mean like comparatively to last year. Was it this warm at this time? I can't remember.
Um, Last season I think we actually had a very warm fall, and then it came very late and very quick. Um, wasn't like that kind of horrible, but at the same time, it just means the leaves didn't turn. Um,
Mm,
Not like they should have. This year they turned, but who's out there to appreciate it?
yeah. Um, I can't remember if I asked Philip and Devin this, but have you guys seen Watchmen, the HBO show?
Oh yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I just finished it last night. It's really good. I'm
What
watching
a
it.
twist.
Yeah, for real. Uh, there was I started watching a show now called it's called Lovecraft Country. It's also HBO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I only saw the first one. Is it good?
Yeah, it's very interesting.
I like
We
it
can
so
talk
far.
after you watch the whole thing.
Yeah. No spoilers.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
What have you guys been watching recently? This general, just for everybody.
Well, we're rewatching Warehouse 13.
What is
We're in the
that?
Queen's Gambit.
I don't know.
And what did we finish recently? I can't remember.
What are we watching right now? We skip around a lot. We skip around
Cars.
a whole lot. I got Rachel and her mama into the show Farscape, the Australian sci-fi show from year 2000.
Okay.
It is beautiful. If you don't know about it, it's
No.
up there with Star Trek on a budget.
Okay. Cool.
Muppets.
Good stuff.
Also,
Muppets?
Jim Henson's son is the puppeteer designer. It's really cool. Yeah,
That's
you'd
awesome.
like it.
Well, okay, cool.
Sci-fi with puppets.
This guy goes through a wormhole and he ends up on the other side of the galaxy and he meets all kinds of aliens. It's great.
Nice, and it's Australian.
Yeah,
Some obscure sci-fi Australian Muppet show sounds amazing, made by Tim Henson's son.
It rules. It's got
Or Jim
4
Henson.
solid seasons.
Nice. What about you, Philip? What have you been watching?
Back of my eyelids.
The back of your eyelids.
I don't watch TV, really.
What do you do then?
Other things.
Things that aren't that.
Things that aren't that. Yes.
What have you and Tiffany been watching, Devin?
Actually, Alex and the boys got me started on One Piece, so I've got a lot to catch up on, a lot. It's 900 something plus episodes just on what's Funimation, and I can't even imagine. It's a lot. So I'm not even 100 episodes in, and
It's One Piece is 800 episodes.
900 plus. I got 900 in there.
It's a lot. It's a good show, but it just drags on and on. It's really slow.
Yeah. So it's kind of a thing you can just have on in the background, and it's oh, he'll still be a pirate king years from now. So, don't have to It's cool though.
Yeah.
You figure around episode 700 that he should get real into drinking and bird watching. Wake up in the morning. How long can you watch a pirate king do the same pirate stuff?
there is some time jumps from what I understand. So I mean, like, yeah, like you've got a good point. I have no idea. Like, I'll say this much: I'm just now getting to the part where they get to the Grand Line, which is like where all the other pirates are actually at, and it's just been building a crew up to this point. So I feel like I've just got through the tutorial, and I'm getting into like One Piece, episode beginning, and we'll see what happens.
There's
know.
there's like this river that runs the entire equator of the planet, and you like can't get into it from the outside except by like this one entrance that you go up. And then like if you get all the way to the end of it, like basically circumnavigate the globe, then there's like supposedly like a hidden treasure that this guy left, and if you get it, then you'll be king of the pirates, and like you'll rule all of the other pirates basically. It's a very anime premise. It's the guy that made it was like he apprenticed for the artist that does did Dragon Ball Z, or Dragon Ball, I guess. It's you can tell it's very inspired by Dragon Ball. It's like it does that thing where it's like, I guess,
the character building's a lot of the same. A lot of the same, kind of like, oh, we'll have a little offshoot that goes and does something cute over here, and then we can come back to the big battle later, and just a lot of the same kind of I think story tools and functions. It's still good stuff. If you enjoyed Dragon Ball, of course you'll enjoy it.
So enough about anime. I want to talk about aliens.
Yay!
Yay. So I remember, okay, let me take you back to, what was it, like 2017, 2018? And Devin was there. I don't remember if Q was there, but we had a house party and Fable Cry played.
Q wasn't there.
It was in like 2014 or 15.
Oof, God.
15, maybe.
God, yeah, okay, yeah, it would have been further back than that.
He wasn't there.
He was 16, maybe? Hey, wait a minute, hold on. When were you in Fable Cry? It wasn't for...
It was the summer of 2014 till 2016.
Yeah.
So we're talking about
probably closer to either 15 or 16. I think it was 2000.
I'll say 15.
Okay. So New Year's 2015 or 2016, something like that. We had that party, and I remember, Rachel, didn't you tell me that you and Joe saw a UFO outside?
Yeah, Joe and I were shooting a shit, smoking a cigarette, and I'm always looking at the stars because I've seen other sightings, but this time it was this rippling, super thin, like reflecting the stars behind it, like lower than an airplane, like just above the trees, right? And it was headed on this trajectory. It had this specific non-symmetrical but jagged shape, and I drew it and I sent it to Devin. And Joanna saw it too, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? Look at that. What is that? And she's like, oh, what is that? She's like, and she never believed in UFOs until that night. That I don't know if it was a UFO, but it was some kind of anomaly.
It was something. Yeah.
It was something.
It was something. Did you see it, Devin?
I did not get to actually see it, but I walked outside just as soon as you guys were freaking out about it.
Yeah.
And like, you could tell that there was something weird. Like, I don't know how else to describe that other than it felt weird out there. And I mean, from having just been outside not that long prior, and then had to go do a thing, came back out, you guys were out there. It's like, wait, hold on, what? And just the whole air felt different. It was almost warmer, stickier, kind of gross. I don't know, man. It wasn't. It wasn't good.
Were you there that night, Philip? You and him?
Hmm? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't there.
No, I think
I was home.
Philip said he was there. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I've never seen a UFO, and I would like to. Because I've heard a lot of people with stories like that. Yeah, like it's not that
I got a
uncommon.
few.
Tell me more. More UFO stories.
All right. Well, so the one that was the most insane was I was living in Pennsylvania, and it was like, I don't know, between 11 and midnight, and I was dozing off to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. I was like having this crazy pre-dream that I was traveling at the speed of light, and it was like the Star Wars representation of warp speed, but there was a disk of darkness and a single point of light in the middle. And I was like, I got up, I'm like, I can't sleep. What the hell was that? That was freaking crazy. So I was like, I'm gonna go outside, have some. And I didn't take my phone. And this was like in 2011-ish. Yeah, 2011. And so I'm sitting on the porch and just like trying to shake this weird dream sensation. Now, dreams is another topic we should get into.
Yes.
But so I'm sitting on the front porch, and it's like rural Pennsylvania, and it's like, you know, windy roads and lots of trees, very similar to Tennessee, rolling hills. And over the trees across the street, I saw what I thought was a flare, because it was falling. This orange light was falling, and it was through the trees, so I knew it was pretty far away. Then it started rising again. And I'm like, okay, balloon maybe. And then another one appeared, and then 3 appeared, and they were doing this bobbling motion, like incoherent. Then all of a sudden, all 3 of them rise up, form a perfect triangle, spin 90 or 180, and then they start to fan out across the area. By this time, one of the ones was 100 yards from me, crossing the street, and it was massive, like this hot air. It looked like a hot air balloon, like an egg with the fat part at the top, and it had metal ridges on it. But where the basket would be, if you can imagine, like a hot air balloon, but the basket is like connected to it, was this orange light that was so dynamic, and it was crazier than a disco ball. And the hair stood up on my arms, and I'm like watching this thing. I'm like, I don't have my phone to videotape it, and it was just like bobbling across, you know. And so I run inside to get my phone, and I'm still looking out the window trying to get my phone. And by the time I run out, it's gone. And after they all had gone, I heard people going, "Hello!" Like someone else had seen it, and I couldn't want to come in the house.
Wow.
The craziest one.
That's crazy. What year would that have been?
2011.
Wow.
12ish.
Did you hear Blake's alien story when I had her on the show? She saw a UFO.
She may have.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
She may have.
Yeah, no, it was like, yeah, it was something similar. That's why I brought it up, because it's like she saw like a bunch of lights go up and then spin around, and that was like, that would have been around the same time, really. I think.
Really? Orange?
Yeah. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch it.
Hot air balloon shaped? That's wild.
I don't think she was that close. It was further away.
She didn't describe it very well. She didn't have like a clear look at it.
That's right. Yeah.
She just saw the lights.
Yeah. You got a light story?
Yes.
Yes, lay it on me.
Let me tell you. Oh man.
I'm so excited.
I didn't know what I was looking at the time. But when I was about, I don't remember whether I was 8 or 9 years old, we came in real late, about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, from my stepdad's parents' house. And we had been hanging out there all day. And when we kind of came in, it was real late. And I remember it being cold outside. I don't remember what time of year it was, but I remember it being cold. And my mama and stepdaddy were standing outside smoking a cigarette before we ended up going into the house. And I remember saying, you know, open up the door. I want to go in. And I went inside the house and got warm. And they were outside smoking a cigarette. And I heard them talking about something like, what the fuck is that? You know, and I was like, well, they must see like a squirrel or a raccoon. We lived kind of far out of town. But I figured it was a squirrel or a raccoon or a deer or something moving. Any kind of thing really kind of set them off. You know, they were very jumpy. And I heard my mama says, boy, get your ass out here and tell me what this is. And I was like, I don't know what they want. You know, I haven't done anything, you know, so I went see what my mama wanted, and I thought I was in trouble for something. And she says, look up there, what do you see? And I said, I looked up in the star, I said, stars? And she said, no, that right there, that moving circle right there. And I saw there was 5 lights, and they were spinning like this in the sky, circular rotation, like a revolver cylinder moving. And we watched it spin, and it would move as one unit for, I don't know, it moved for maybe 10 minutes that we were watching. And it was long enough for me to look up there. I didn't know what I was looking at. You know, I just saw the stars were moving. It just looked like 5 lights. And Mom was getting freaked out and trying to take pictures of it. But, you know, disposable cameras back then, you know, I don't know, they just weren't worth a damn. Used up whole disposable cameras trying to take pictures of this. But it just looks like 5 lights in the sky. It didn't, you couldn't see it moving. But as they were moving, we were watching them, and as that revolver cylinder of lights was moving, the lights shot off. It accelerated at a speed that I can't even imagine the amount of power you'd have to generate to accelerate at that speed. And they all filed off one by one, off in the same direction. And I think about that about once a week now.
Like,
I don't know. I'm not sure what I actually saw. I saw some atmospheric phenomena while I was in North Dakota dealing with different kinds of lights. But we lived 10 miles out of town. There was no lights out there. There's nothing. I don't know what I saw. Huh?
what?
Okay. So I got a question. Did you see those videos that the Marines released during COVID about like gimbal, and you're nodding about, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Alex, right?
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up actually.
Yeah, like there was gimbal and like, I don't know, something like Speedy or whatever. I can't even remember what they titled them. But when you're talking about crazy acceleration, there's one where it's just like, oh, okay, cool, they're watching it, and then and the thing's gone. And they're like, crap, we can't keep up with it. And like this whole thing's supposed to be like a missile tracking system, and it can't keep up with this thing that's like, I don't know, about the size of like a purse or something, they said. And like, did you see any of those? No?
I've seen it.
Q? No?
I remember the lights that I saw speed off. When I was in the Air Force, I saw a lot of fighter jets, and those have to build up speed. It's not instant speed.
Yeah.
Those lights went from 0 to infinity, and just faster than faster than you could blink. And I can't imagine the systems of physics that would have to be in place to allow that to happen. Like, I try not to think about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask you to think about it some more. Are you guys familiar with Bob Lazar?
Say it again.
Bob Lazar.
Name's familiar.
He was a UFO conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
That he claims to have worked there.
I've heard his name come out of your mouth and your mouth alone.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Have you?
Q basically hit the nail on the head. Yeah, he's a UFO conspiracist. He claims to have worked at Area 51 or a subsect of Area 51. There's a documentary on it on Netflix, but it's kind of shitty. And he was on Joe Rogan, and I thought that was a lot better. But he lays it out, and he doesn't like he tries really hard not to overstate himself. He's like, here's what I know about it. And he's been subject to a lot of like different lie detector tests, and different like facial expression analysts have looked into him to try and see if he's lying, and a lot of the experts are convinced that he's telling the truth. And the stuff he's talking about, like he's describing that the way the thing moves is like, it's like what, like you could like describe like a laser pointer on a wall. Like it's this jagged, and it just kind of moves like this. And he said it's got like an anti-gravity propulsion system that's powered by an element that doesn't exist on Earth. So like there's no wires or anything. It's not electrical. It just like you just move a slab over another slab, and the thing elevates somehow. And then it's able to, like, it has its own gravitational field. So if you were to try to punch it, your fist would just reflect off of it. And that's how it's able to, like, it's all terrain. It's able to go like water, air, space, like nothing. Cause it's like, if that's true, that's like, we're talking about like anti-gravity, like force field technology, which if the government's able to replicate that, that's more powerful than any conventional weapons we have, you know?
Are you saying there's spaceships that can fly through space and time, but they can't make an Xbox that doesn't smoke?
Yeah, why the aliens should get on that. They should get with
priorities.
Microsoft. Yeah. I think Bob was always talking about, he thinks it was like from some kind of archaeological dig. Like they found it a long time ago. Maybe it's just like ancient Egyptian technology.
What are we talking about here?
Oh, hey, Neef. We're talking about aliens. Talking about UFOs specifically.
I mean, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I picked up on that much of it. I just meant what you were just referencing.
Bob Lazar, are you familiar with him?
I think so. I'm really bad with names. I have people quote dead guys all day to me in arguments, you know.
He's a living guy.
Right. So, you know.
Yeah, anyway, I was just going on a rant about Bob Lazar. We were talking about aliens.
Wasn't his name in a pop song somewhere? Bob Lazar, Bob Lazar.
How
What?
bizarre.
Oh, how bizarre. My bad.
Neef, do you have any UFO stories?
Oh no, I was gonna say I think Clutch makes reference to Bob Lazar. And I think Escape from the Prison Planet. I think, yeah. I don't know. Bob Lazar's coming over, honey. Clear the airstrip and light up that stove. Yeah, I think that's what he says. Or I could be wrong.
You ever seen a UFO?
Not. Well, yes, because I've seen things in the sky that were flying, and I couldn't identify them.
Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
Well, and when I say that,
Superman.
I've
What if you
the only thing I've ever seen is one night looking way up, kind of out in the country, where I had enough, little bit of light, very little light pollution. I could see. I remember what I saw, what I thought was a satellite. I mean, the tiniest little, almost like a star, but it was moving too fast. So I was like, I might actually be seeing a satellite. And then I remember seeing it kind of, and I mean, I'm talking about, this isn't very, this is me laying on a deck, just staring into the sky of all kind of stars. The tiniest little pin dot of a light and then it just seemed like it went in a 3, but I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. You know, even at the moment, I was kind of like, did I see that? Or, you know, but you know,
So philosophically, if you see a alien spacecraft in the sky and you identify it, you're like, oh, that's an alien spacecraft. I guess it's no longer a UFO.
it's no
is
longer
it?
a UFO. No, I've never seen a UFO. Every time I saw an alien craft, I knew that
Yeah.
it was a fucking alien craft.
Oh
So.
yeah, they're from Quasar 978.
Right. I mean, I didn't catch the tags. I mean, what do you mean by unidentified?
What about, okay, all right, so we've talked about extraterrestrials. Does anyone have any interesting ghost stories they'd like to share?
I've tried, and it never worked.
You tried contacting ghosts?
Mm-hmm. Gone to haunted places, all kind of shit like that.
Yeah.
I felt weird things, but I've never seen any, you know. And I'm not extremely skeptical about it. Just like alien belief, I'm not extremely skeptical against it or at all. I'm very wide open to it. I've just never witnessed any of the shit.
Devin's got a ghost. Oh, go ahead, Rachel.
Our house is currently haunted by a ghost cat.
Oh.
Now, we have 5 cats, but when none of the cats are present, a cat will walk across my body at night.
Something similar has happened to me recently, actually. I was going to bed, and as I was falling asleep, I felt something on my chest, and then it just sat there, and I didn't hear purring, but I felt what it felt like when a cat is purring on your chest, and there obviously was no cat there.
Yeah, the ghost kitty has purred and laid and curled up and has been a little sweet thing. But I go to make sure because, I would, pet my real cats and there's nothing there. My mom lives here too, and she's experienced ghost kitty. She's also experienced ghost leopard. So she said that there was something huge on her bed. Something huge was purring. And it hasn't been around for a while, but this was like recently. Crazy.
Saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah. I hesitate to say ghost story because we were actually talking about this the other day, Q. Like there's when we're talking about certain subjects like this, there's a gray area where like you could put it in a box of psychosis or mental illness or some kind of like neuroticism or something, or you could put it, if you like, some people just think about it in a mystical way. But I think, at least for me personally, I feel like there's a lot of crossover in that area, and I think like it's almost irrelevant what's really happening. So like, I guess when I talk about ghost stories or I guess that includes hallucinations or just strange events that
unexplained phenomena.
Yeah. Yeah, I think phenomena. I feel like that's a better way of putting it, than just like ghost stories, like putting it in that box. But yeah. Yeah, I guess when I ask you guys if you have any ghost story, that's really what I'm asking. Do you have any weird experiences in your lives that you feel like sharing with us?
Well, I have night terrors and have had those since I can remember, extremely vivid dreams, scary dreams, but as well as my dreams become hallucinations in the real world as I'm waking up. And some of them are fleeting, some of them last a long time. Sometimes he has to like make me snap out of it. So I'm seeing things at night.
It sounds
and sometimes I'll remember it, sometimes I won't.
It sounds a little bit like could be sleep paralysis from lucidity. you're going into lucid dreaming, but you're not fully falling out and you're not shutting down enough. But I guess it just depends on the hallucination. People say they see faces. A lot of times I hallucinate faces during that state, and it's just
Hmm.
terrifying as anything to them.
That's happened.
Um,
I've seen excruciatingly hideous faces.
I've experienced sleep paralysis trying to do lucid dreaming, like heavy duty trying to do it. And it wasn't anything like that on a hallucinogenic state, but my body tensed up so tight, it physically hurt me. I had to turn around in the bed and lay there. And, I mean, I was just like breathing hard and like, God, and, yeah, that sounds a lot when you're talking about that, being feeling like you're halfway awake or as you're waking up. That sounds like what that might be is they attribute that like later night terrors after you get older to the same similar thing. Your body goes to sleep and your mind hasn't fallen asleep.
Hmm.
And that's a way of going to lucid dreaming. But if you don't do it just right, it can cause that kind of stuff. So who knows?
I can see that. Yeah. Lucid dreaming, I have had several lucid dreaming experiences.
Were they happenstance, or were you trying to lucid dream?
Happenstance, because whenever I intentionally want to lucid dream, I can just never, I just need to comprehend that I'm dreaming, and I have the triggers and the totems and all that, but it just happens.
Hmm. Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I've only been able to do it once to my recollection, and it's because I was reading Liber Null and Psychonaut at the time, and there's a chapter in there about lucid dreaming, and there's different practices, like you can like set your mind a certain way to like kind of get you on that path in your sleep. And I was trying really hard at that time. Like I was keeping a dream journal, and I had it's weird. Um I had in this book I was reading, it was telling me to keep a dream journal because that's the last thing you think about when you go to bed is your dreams, and that's the first thing you wake up and you do is you write down your dreams. So and the other thing it told me to do is to pick a focus, like try to manifest something within your dream. So I chosen a black cat as my focus, and I tried to make it appear in the dream. Um, but what my dream ended up being is I was in this house, and I walked in on something I shouldn't have. It was like some sort of like eyes wide shut like masquerade orgy that I was like not supposed to see. And then like people started chasing me with like shotguns and some stuff. So I ran outside, and I was up against like this fence, and this guy had like a shotgun up against me. And I was like, okay, like I just like had this click where I was like, I'm gonna die. And then I realized I was dreaming all of a sudden. So like then I just kind of like pushed him aside, and I like started flying. And like I can remember like I was like flying through the air, and I remember I could like the wind and the trees rustling as I went by sounded so real. Like it was like absolutely just as real as reality for a moment. And I didn't get my black cat to show up, but a black cat came to my house the next day, and we adopted it.
Oh, what'd you name it?
We only had it for a day. It died. That was yeah. That's the other thing. It was really sick. That's why I wanted it up to the house. And it's funny is I had an art project. This was at Joey's house, Devin. You remember this? I had an art project where I was building a giant cross in my backyard. So I had taken post hole diggers and dug like a 3 or 4 foot hole to put the post down. And I had just dug the hole. I hadn't put the post down yet. And we took home this cat, and it was really sick. And it became clear that we needed to take it to the doctor. And the doctor was like, yeah, this cat's gonna fucking die. We should just put it down. So we didn't really give time to like name it or anything, but I had this dead cat now, and I didn't realize it, but I had already been digging a grave for it. I just didn't know it yet. And so I put the cat in the ground, and I built I put the giant like 8-foot cross on top of him as like a headstone. And yeah, so that cat got a giant fucking burial tomb.
Oh, his name is Lucid.
Yeah, that's good. That's the only time I was able to.
If I start seeing black cats, I blame all of you.
Blame lucidity.
Yeah, I don't want to be that lucid.
So like, has anyone else had success lucid dreaming?
I think I've had vague success once or twice, but it wasn't anything extreme. I was trying really intense methods that had to do with like breathing, and it I was also trying other things as far as with meditation and like not necessarily just lucid dreaming, but that's when I started experiencing a lot of the, not a lot, but a couple of times that I experienced the sleep paralysis. I knew that I was actually, it sucked, but I knew that I wasn't reading a bunch of BS. You know what I mean? Because I had read about that happening too, you know? And so it was kind of, even though it was anything but relieving, it was still kind of like, oh, okay, I'm on the right track here. I've done that with meditation techniques before, you know, where I'll try something and it doesn't really do anything, you know, or I don't really feel like it, you know, accomplished much more than stretching or breathing or something. And then there have been ones that I've done that I've just, you know, I've done techniques that I've almost passed out because of, and even read, you know, you got to be careful doing this because you start to feel lightheaded, you know. So that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things that.
And to some people, it just comes really naturally. Like I know people that just do it on their own, like without trying to. It just happens. Do you ever are you ever aware or in control when you dream, Q?
No.
Yeah.
I do
Same.
basically hallucinate on, well, now that I'm medicated, not so much a daily basis anymore, but I hallucinate quite frequently. Most of it is voices. Just trying to talk to me. Sometimes they tell me to do things. Uh, Try to give me advice. Sometimes it's a disembodied voice. Sometimes it is an entity in which has been more or less plaguing me, but also offering me advice on things every now and then. So it's a mixed bag but I realize that that's part of the symptoms of schizoaffective disorder that I was diagnosed with about 10 years ago. And ever since they put me on antipsychotics, I don't really have a lot of those symptoms anymore. But if I stay up real late at night and there's nothing going on, or maybe I can't go to sleep and I'm in bed, I can hear them trying to talk to me through the walls, or I'll hear a voice on the other side of the wall and I won't be able to understand what they're saying. And I'll really try to listen to them. And sometimes I infer what they're saying because sometimes they only say things once. And I don't know, I'm a crazy motherfucker.
So no, that's interesting. So like so it doesn't it sounds like it's somewhere like across the room, like somewhere over there rather than internal. Like you hear it at a distance.
Sometimes.
That's interesting.
Sometimes it sounds like when I get bad, and when I get really manic, sometimes it sounds almost like the voice of God, like I can't escape it.
I know,
like it goes through me.
A good friend of mine who is he's got to be close to 60 or so now. He's now, I mean, he's, it's well under control and has been for many years. But he would tell me about the episodes he'd have when he was younger, that the television would start talking to him. And it was kind of like you're saying, it wasn't like people hear, people talk about, oh, the voices, and, they hear people talk about that, but they don't understand. It's not like your voice when we're thinking, it's when you know people like that and they tell you about it, it's like, no, it's literally an external voice that's talking to me. That's
Wow.
why it's so fucking crazy. It's not me just sitting there going, damn, it's like I dosed up and my brain's running. It's like, he said, I would sit and be watching TV, and then the guy on the TV would just start talking to me out of nowhere. And he said he'd lay in the fields and lay there and look at the sky, and the angels would come and say, this is what the music in heaven sounds like. And he's a flute player. He's a brilliant woodwind player, played flute and a lot of stuff. And he would emulate what he heard, through echoplexes and effect machines and stuff when he'd play a lot. And that's what he'd tell us. He'd say, I'm kind of emulate what, and he understood it was a condition. He told me one of the worst episodes he had, that he was they had him in a hospital, and he goes, the episode was, I was walking down the hallway talking to everybody, just walking down the hallway. Hey, how you doing? Seeing all the people. Hey, how you doing? He said, but I was actually in my room on the floor, curled up in a ball. And he said, in completely, as far as he knew, he was doing that. And then, he would just come to and he'd be there, and none of that had happened, and he said that was the extremity of it. So yeah, it's really something that's, it's hard to grasp, even knowing people. I can't even say that I grasp it. It's just a little bit.
I feel the same way as he did when it come to hearing music. Sometimes I'll hear a noise and I'll sit and listen to it for like the longest time, and I'll turn the TV off and I'll really listen to it, and maybe I'll hear a pattern of something else moving, and that builds into a pattern, and I can hear music in that, and that builds into a song, and I can hear it, and I spend so much time trying to understand what I'm actually hearing. And I don't think it's me thinking of a song, because there's a difference between me sitting and trying to find a rhythm on the guitar while I'm playing, and then there's a difference between me hearing something and saying, man, doesn't that sound like a bitchin' tune? I bet you I could play that.
Yeah.
And I think that's
I was going to ask you how that actually translated, like if it was related to how you actually wrote music. Because I mean, if all of these things are going on, like I loved Pink Floyd and Sid Barrett and just all of that, you know what I mean? And my first reaction is like, man, I almost wish that I could have some of those intense things happen just to have something really good to write about.
I feel that.
But also at the same time, no, I don't. No. You know,
What you wish for.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, there's probably way too many bad things to go with that. But the beauty that, like, you're able to turn it into something cool, right? Because like you're saying, there's something different between you actually playing the guitar, finding a rhythm, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then you hear something and you're like, man, if I could emulate that, like that's what I want to do. And then you're just, how do you take that? And then you're like, man, how do I do that?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
You got one you wrote that way?
I've got a bunch of songs that I write that way. I write half of my songs that way.
Damn.
Which ones?
That's
All
awesome.
of them. Cursed items, especially. Cursed items, I hear cursed items coming to discount all the time. It's a new song I'm on. And I hear that one.
Is that the one you sent me?
Yes. Uh-huh.
That.
And I feel like the song itself is a cursed item.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking stellar. That's what it is.
Wait to hear the rest.
I'm excited for to hear more new music from you guys. I know you guys have got some stuff you're working on.
Yes, we're working on lots and lots of new songs.
Oh boy.
I don't think y'all ever let me hear any of their stuff.
They are a really badass two-piece, and they kick ass.
Our SoundCloud or no, our Bandcamp first album wasn't recorded very well, so it's out there. It's
On
U&Me&Me&U.
SoundCloud?
You know, I know a guy that does that stuff.
I'm not sure where he is on your screen, but for me, he's right there. That guy.
Okay.
I'm trying
Send
to.
files
Which is
for
just
me.
another reason for you to come down for a visit, and then it becomes a thing, you know?
Yeah, when it's safe to see old folks.
Yeah,
We'll do that.
yeah.
Understandably.
I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Look at. Can you guys see this? What do you guys see?
Alex Gray's.
Yours.
Yeah. So
I see a Tool record.
yeah, pretty much. So we were
I see
just
a
talking.
cough
Is this
syrup.
not lateral-lysis?
It might as well be, right?
I see that you have one notification on Facebook.
Oh yeah, maybe I should move that. So there's like, okay, so I don't know how well you guys can see it, but there's we were just talking about this, which is why I pulled this up. It's like I think this is true of every artist. I think this, what we're looking at, is what happens. Like there's a muse.
Inspiration.
Yeah, there's a muse behind him channeling some sort of, like you said, inspiration through the back of his head.
Mhm.
And then it comes out of his eyes as a prism. Like it goes in as a solid beam and it comes out as a prism. And I think that represents, like, that's the artist's own unique inflection being put on what he's told, like as it goes through him. And you just reminded me of that, Q, because you were talking about hearing the music and replicating it. And that's I think, yeah.
The
I think
the depth of what you talk about, because you brought that up before, Alex.
I brought it up a lot.
About that, and it's a really poetic way to put it, because you can look at it in the sense of, yeah, it always is going to be an external force.
Mm.
You could call it a deity, you could call it a being or something like that. But really, if you look at it, the universe itself to you as an individual is merely what you've experienced living in it. And that is all you have to write on. So everything that you do express comes directly from what the universe has told you.
Right. It's like
And it
literally
can't
true.
come from
Yeah.
anything else. That's why people talk about, yeah, you can make up a song about somebody that and a story in it that's got nothing that you've ever experienced in it, but there is going to be part of that you in that somehow.
Mm.
You know.
I was just talking to Bob about archetypes, and like there's the hero's journey, and it's seen, you can see it throughout so many stories. Like it's like pretty much every story is rehashed, and we people don't even realize it when they do it. It's like intuitive. It's like stories that come from our bones, from our ancestry, like the hero archetype and the villain archetype and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, there's like a clear formula of storytelling that people follow even without realizing it. It's interesting.
I'm a whole new kind of hero.
Yeah, heard that before. So off of ghosts and channeling and all that stuff, didn't Q, okay, maybe I'm remembering this wrong, but didn't you tell me one time that you beat super ghost and goblins without dying?
I beat super ghouls and ghosts without dying, got to
That's
the
a-
end boss,
That's a fucking
and
feat.
I'd practiced on that game for about 6 months, or at least an hour or two every day.
That's
I got really good. I can for the longest time, I could get to the 5th or 6th level without dying. And I got a particularly good run one day in about 2011 or 2012. And all of my neighbors and all my friends knew that this what I was working on. And I come one afternoon, I got all the way to the final boss, Sardius, had beat the game, and you have to replay the game with the weakest weapon in the game once you beat it the first time with the bracelet, and was at the final boss the second time, which is like the stars had aligned for me to be able to do this. I was in the zone, stars had aligned, had the wind at my back. Jesus was taking the wheel on that one, whatever you want to call it. And I had paused it just so I could take a break and just tell everybody, all right, come over here and check this out. You'll never see me beat the hardest game in the world ever again. My roommate came home, flipped the light on, and didn't realize that wasn't a light. It was a 3-way switch going to my Super Nintendo, and switched it off.
No.
I still haven't forgotten that, and I haven't forgiven his ass either.
Neither should you.
Shouldn't.
Hold that grudge forever.
Forever.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's I hope everyone watching this understands how much of a feat that is. Like, I guess we're talking about an old game though.
You know, anybody that does know it knows what a bitch of a game that was. That's back from the ending days of quarter eaters. Back when that's what games did, when they're in arcades and they were there to eat your quarter.
Yeah.
After quarter, just like, I can do it. You know.
That's how games were designed back then. Yeah.
Can't hear Devin. Can't hear you.
Oh yeah.
You were very low.
Not hear you.
Dave on. Where'd you
Can you hear us?
Oh.
He can hear us.
He's doing sign language.
Yeah, just do sign language for the rest of the episode.
Hat, tilt. I don't understand.
Try logging
that
out,
too.
logging back, or check your audio settings.
Devin, say something. Okay, well, fix it.
But you guys want to go back to inspiration real quick.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I can hear you now, but you're really quiet.
I'm still here. I'm trying. I swear.
It's getting better.
I'm sorry, Rachel. Go ahead.
Inspiration, like the Alex Gray painting that you were showing, where you know, mind. I like to think of it when I'm playing music. When you let go and you're playing music, and it's just coming through you. That in that moment, I'm connected purely to the one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so many different things to call it. I mean, I like to.
When it's locked and engaged with the muse like that, like you can really see it with my roommate practices violin, and there's a video he really likes to watch of this girl doing Vivaldi scales on her violin, and she's just so like you can read it on her face, and it's just like she's in this place, she's just like at this, she's in that moment, and like you can really see it with a lot of like of the really talented musicians who are able to just slip out of wherever they're at and just go into the zone. It's what we call the zone. Yeah.
I've seen some not so talented musicians zip into the zone too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, they're feeling it. So
that's funny.
You know, I mean, I guess that's what counts.
Right. That's yeah. I think that's it's funny because we can talk about if someone says, yeah, I was really in the zone, we all kind of know what they mean, but I don't think any of us really understand what it is that exactly what is that? What are the, what are we really talking about? Like if you're trying to define that, you know?
Well,
Gnosis, right? That's what
Gnosis. Yeah, that's a good way to put
term
it.
for it.
It's a trance. Yeah,
Oh.
that's a good point. Maybe, you know, I think you're onto something, Rachel. Maybe you have to put yourself in a certain mindset of meditation in order to receive the signal clearly. You know.
Music,
sure.
music
for
and
sure.
yeah, well, music in general, it's I guess got a different level on it, because if you're doing it on your own, that's like most any other expression, you know, painting, writing, things like that. You're generally doing that on your own. But with music, when you bring it into a band or other people, then it's one of those things that you don't really have, there's not a lot of other expressive things, other ways of expressing art, other art forms that basically have their own language that transcend language. I don't have to know what anybody in my neighborhood speaks if they play music. You know, I can pick up and walk over, and if I find out what key they're in, I can jam with them, and we're smiling and having a great time. So, you know,
Devin, can you say something?
I have him. He's going to get back on his phone. I just need him to drop his email address for me, and I'll invite him. It'll be 2 minutes.
So Devin just sent me a message to let me know that this picture I just had pulled up in the bottom left corner, this dog pig thing has a dick hanging out of his mouth, and
Oh, shit.
he's absolutely right. Yes, it does.
Damn.
Its tongue is a dick. Thank you, Devin, for catching that. Appreciate it.
Creepy.
Yeah,
so
I would have hated to have missed that.
what part of the inspiration does that represent there, Alex?
That's good. We need Sigmund Freud for this one to crack that case.
Some Freudian.
Well, like,
evidence.
as you connect to like the lightest thing, so too do you magnetize the darkest thing, and you know, had night terrors and had horrible nightmares. It's like the dark side of
Oh.
I guess.
No, you're right. Yeah, because if I could pull it back up real quick, but on the other end of it, it's not as tragic or scary. Like
Right.
it's just that end of it, and everything on that side is like a horror creature. And you're right. That's a big part of inspiration.
It's very aggressive. Having the fallacy as a tongue
You know,
is definitely
nothing
like
inspires like being chased by a rabid animal, like getting chased by a pack of wolves or a lion. Nothing inspires someone to action quite like that. you know?
right,
Especially with ones with dicks as tongues.
yeah, with a phallic tongue.
Yeah, the implications here are like I don't want to get caught by this thing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think you know, but you're on a good point there. Not to necessarily even just say the dark, but the aggro side of things.
For sure.
You know, the yang to the yin kind of thing. You know,
I had an epic
It's-
dream. Sorry.
go ahead.
In my dream, I was in like the high rise of this building, and it was at the shore of the ocean, and my uncle was there. My uncle was like a really good friend. We were like close, and he wasn't doing so well, but he knew he wasn't doing so well. And there were these things flying around like the city, and I couldn't see them like up close yet, but it was this dark thing being ridden by a light thing, right? And the dark things were like demons of all different shapes and sizes, and them resembled like warrior angels or whatever, various, you know, regalia and, you know, archetypal angelic warrior items. But one of them through the walls, and it like grazed my uncle, like it almost took it with him. So it's the yin and yang, and like taking.
I was gonna bring this up earlier and I forgot. Excuse me. Have any of you ever played any of the Persona games?
No.
So there's this Japanese RPG series called Persona, and like you have like you have all these like different friends and social groups, social links that you make throughout your day, throughout your life, and each of them is represented by one of the major arcana in tarot. So like your best friend is represented by the magician. You've got a friend online that you play games with. He's represented by the hermit, and so on and so forth. Like your parental figure is represented by the Hierophant. And so I took a page out of that book, and I've been making like my own. Like I took all the major arcana, and I've like represented them with different like characters and aspects in my life. That's just a project I've been working on.
Sounds neat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are
It
you
is that.
telling me that you're busy networking with the people in the video games that aren't real?
No, I'm saying. I'm saying like.
It sounded very similar to a game my stepdaughter was playing on her phone. I kind of had to get on to her about it and tell her that. And I was like, I mean, I don't got anything against video games, but
It's not quite that nerdy, Q. What I'm
it's,
saying,
you know,
it's what I'm saying is that
social
like
networking on a video game is kind of
everyone in my life,
sus.
all of you have a card in tarot applied to you. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, who
Right?
am I?
I'm working on it. I haven't finished it yet. It's a project.
Okay.
I'll let
Neat.
you know.
Wait a minute. Who am I?
Oh, wait a minute. So now you're telling me
Oh.
you've turned this into a
Oh well, yeah. I'm playing my life like a video game. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
If I'm not the fool, I'm very, very upset.
Are we? No. So you're going to represent everybody that you know.
It's more
as
like
deities.
like tight, yeah, like tightly knit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
not everybody that you know, but
right.
You know.
Yeah, like all the
homies.
like the more like important like social links that I have, you know. Like a video game, the ones that have like you've leveled up the social link a lot. It's like
Not only are you my friend, but you're better at stabbing people now.
Yeah. That's how the game works too, because like if you build your relationship with someone, they can do like a follow-up attack, like you can swing and then they can come up behind you, or like if you fall, they can like help you back up and stuff like that, depending on like how well acquainted you are with them. Yeah, pretty much.
Every time you come over now, Alex, I'm gonna have a D20 sitting on the table when you walk to the door, and you got to roll it for random encounters in my home.
You just like start throwing rocks at me. Oh, random encounter.
Be like, hey man, you know.
Do a saving throw. See if you
I'm gonna
dodge
throw
this
a brick
fucking
through your
rock.
window and just call it a random encounter.
Critical fail. Clean my toilet, bitch.
That's the game. That's the game.
But yeah, well,
That's what I should do with the kids around here.
With
their chores. Yeah, I've been trying to get them more into D&D.
You get this is starting to sound more and more like Two-Face from Batman. He's just like, you're either gonna live or you're gonna die. It's like, guess you're not so lucky today, motherfucker. That's how you gotta do it.
Sometimes you gotta do it.
That's it. Sometimes it be like that. Well, how long have we been going? We've been going like maybe an hour-ish?
I don't even know how to tell that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, hey, we talked about aliens. We talked about ghosts.
Well, I mean, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we covered all our bases.
Yeah, I left my ghost stories out of this, and I'm like,
I got a ghost story for you.
Go for it.
So I was driving home from work one day, and it was super late, and our apartment complex was on the same street as a graveyard. And across the street from the graveyard was a golf course, a pretty high-end golf course. As I was driving home, I almost hit somebody. And the only reason I almost hit them is because they were not real, or at least alive. I slammed on my brakes to not hit this guy crossing the street, and he literally walked through the front of my vehicle. Clear as day, I watched him walk through the front of my vehicle.
That's
and then
crazy.
just went into the golf course. And he was dressed. He had, okay, so that cap you have, I don't even know what it's called, the type of cap it's got, but it's got the flat bill that's,
You talking to me?
yeah, the brown one you have.
It's like a golf hat.
Yeah, that the golf hat. He was wearing that
flat cap.
Flat cap. There we go. And he was wearing a sweater vest, and that's all I could really. Long sleeve shirt, but I didn't like. I was damn near traumatized. I thought I was about to kill somebody, and it was
Hipster.
terrifying, huh?
A hipster, apparently.
Yeah, a hipster ghost.
Either a
He had a
hipster
man
or
bun.
either a hipster or he like delivered mail in the 1930s in London, and he's like, "Hello, get your paper." He just thought,
Get your papers.
It was a old native hipster, and he actually hit him when we got out the car. He looked at him and he said, "Hipster," and then from that day forward, slowly he began to get more and more hip. I guess y'all completely lost my reference there with thinner, didn't you?
I figured if you run into a hipster ghost, you could just give him a little dab of mustache wax. Just go away.
he's like,
I'm appeased. I will go off to the afterlife. This is
Oh,
what I need.
Dude,
I just made a failed Stephen King thinner reference right there. Is what that was.
Nice.
You know,
Congratulations.
lady, she says thinner, and yeah, whatever.
here's a guy who will go out of his way for a Stephen King reference.
Not usually. I just pulled it out of the air right there. You know,
All hail Stephen the King.
really not that big of a fan.
We share the same birthday.
Who?
Me and Stephen King.
Oh, really?
Assuredly not the same year.
Of course not. Well, I'm a lot. No. I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're a vampire. Just immortal.
Yes.
He's actually much younger than you.
Terrifying. For him
It's
to
like-
look like that and be that young. Nope.
I'm over here asking about like, oh, have you guys have any ghost stories or anything? And Rachel's like, dude, I'm literally a vampire. Like, what do I say?
Here's the crazier thing. She's a vampire who's seen aliens.
It's-
I've seen UFOs. Well, I mean, if you count the things that show up in the middle of the night.
Okay,
This is-
okay.
She's a vampire that's seen aliens and gonna tell you ghosts aren't real. Well, actually, I'm a vampire. but
Werewolves are completely fake. Mermaids
Ghosts
are
aren't
made
real
up.
though.
And
Aliens
9/11 was not an inside job.
That's it kind of like, I'm gonna be honest, it kind of like fucking irritates me that like I've had some really strange experiences, like and I'm willing to humor the possibility of it being psychosis or some kind of like hallucination, but I've used like I've come into contact with spirits and been bodily possessed under the control of certain things, but I've never seen anything like an apparition or an alien or anything like that. And it fucking irritates me because it's like, what do I have to do to just make that happen?
Hey,
Right.
let
You
me
have
tell
to give
you.
up control because you're never in control of that situation. And if the fact that you think that you're the one who's going to tell them when to show up, they're going to tell you to fuck off.
Mhm.
Like, I mean,
That's probably what it is. They're like, no, this guy is like really wants to see a ghost, so
They've
let's
always
not.
sensed my power in there.
Were you guys?
Um,
Oh no, I was gonna ask you guys what you were saying. Go
I
ahead.
was going to tell you about a night terror that involves aliens. Would you like to hear that one? Because I don't know if they were real,
Yes.
but they sure stuck around long enough to seem real to me.
Yes.
All right, have you seen M. Night Shyamalan's Signs?
Yes.
Okay, so imagine a flesh colored, a light flesh colored version, pink, like of the sign's alien. Okay, standing in my doorway. Right, I'm awake. I'm out of my dream state, but this thing is standing in my doorway. It lurches at me like as an aggressive move, and I'm like, oh, frightened of it. And then it lurches again, but it goes inside my body. It goes boom, inside my body and bursts out the back, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in pain. And as this is still happening, it flies around the room and goes in again, and it doesn't come out. So I'm like, screaming at the top of my lungs, trying to rip at my stomach and just like calm down. Like, was that real? Was that a real alien? Was I hallucinating? I don't even know.
Damn.
Is it still in there?
No, I've been exercised. Thank you.
Okay,
Came out.
that's good to know.
You've
Great.
been
Hold on. So is
exercised,
it a
or you've been
demon or an alien?
exercising
I'm
and it came out?
confused. You just exercised an alien?
A
Why
demon,
not?
A demon is an alien, right? It's foreign.
What?
How would we know that? Does it really matter? I mean, they're
I mean, you know.
It's-
one was with
doesn't matter,
malevolent
but-
intent.
It's not from here, therefore it's an alien.
Hey, look, man, we shouldn't have borders anyway, man. You
Like-
know, enough of those.
That's fair. That's
We
fair.
need, actually, we need demon equality. Like there should be no body borders. If a demon wants to enter this realm, you just give it your body.
Hey, man.
No, it's born the right way.
Beelzebub
Stealing.
doesn't want to go through customs.
Man,
He's
like,
got shit that the government doesn't need to know about.
what
He's a
right
very
do we
busy
have?
man.
What right do we have to tell him he can't come here?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, who
Especially if we got some of that
authority are
good.
you, right?
Especially you gonna bring some of that underworld good shit. Hell yeah.
If you were in hell, you'd be trying to get here too. So you don't understand the position. Fuck, what were we just talking about?
I like that as a slogan.
Yeah.
If you were in hell, you'd be trying to get here too. If I ever invest in a real estate, like, big giant real estate thing.
Are we talking
yeah,
about
that's what
California?
that's what the slogan's gonna be.
What if
If you're in hell, you'd want to be here too.
what if we get a politician that is just straight up like, I'm a reptile. I'm here from hell. I'm from another dimension to enslave humanity.
They
Are you
wouldn't
talking like
believe him.
Obama?
that was damn it. Yeah, that was pretty Obama, wasn't it? Okay, well, I'm gonna lean really hard into it being Obama then. It's like, I'm a reptile. I've come here to slay humanity.
I'm a reptile.
It's just like he just ran on it. He's like, when I become president, everyone will have
Their own heat lamp?
yeah.
Supply of crickets?
The reptilian party.
That's Obamacare 2.0.
It's basically reptile care 0.10.
Hey man, I'm not down with any of that kind of health care unless I can have limbs growing back. All right.
I think it's funny that my default president voice is Obama. That's like what I think of when I think of president voice, I guess.
You could go with Trump.
I'm
It's very obvious.
I'm a reptile with very small hands. I've come to enslave humanity.
It wouldn't work with him though. Nobody would believe him.
The media would be like, he's not
Dumbass
a reptile,
reptile.
he's a liar.
Yeah.
Right?
I love what I call the Trump Kamehameha, where he does this with his hands.
Yes.
Well, the Democrats did all these things here.
It's always about widening, isn't it? Like he takes the hand, it comes this way, and it has to go wider.
Have you seen his butt? Of
Everything's
course he's thinking
bigger.
about widening.
Just
Dummy thick. Yeah, I saw that meme of him getting on the plane, and it was like, I love
God.
when he leaves because I love to watch him walk away. It's like,
Oh, it was
oh my god,
Mhm.
I didn't need to see that. My eyes. Oh, while we were on break earlier, Tiffany sent me a link to. It's this guy who.
Please don't pull that up. I puked, man.
I think
Okay.
you
That
have
was
to.
good. That
I
was
won't-
good.
I
think
won't.
you have to.
I won't pull it up. I'll just tell you about it. He's a professional poop diver. He goes through poop and finds stuff. And he was talking about. I think he says he's from Melbourne, somewhere in Australia. Sounds about right.
Of course.
So, yeah, and he was saying like they found a bunch of undigested corn, and they think it must have been some kind of like festival where no one was chewing their corn, and there was nothing exciting about it. It was like a very
There's really nothing exciting about any of this topic.
yeah. No,
You
you're
know,
right.
I mean,
Going to poop.
Aren't you glad I brought it up?
I'm very glad you brought it up.
just overjoyed.
No.
Any dude who can make money off of turds is an entrepreneur, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
The turd newer?
that's what if actually. That reminds me. So I've heard the what is it? The UN released this thing. Well, I think it was like 6 months ago, talking about how their satellites are showing that North Korea's crops are like redoing really, really poorly, and they're like the whole country's in like 40% poverty, like extreme poverty, and they don't have chemical fertilizer, like they don't have a way to make it there. So what they have told their people to use human shit for their crops. So a lot of people are getting worms now because all the farmers are using poop.
I
And
saw something about that kind of a while back. And I've questioned a lot of the validity of that, because when you use feces as fertilizer, it is almost always from herbivores. You don't ever really you can't just use any shit.
Well, I'm sure it didn't work very well.
For human shit, you have to compost it for at least a year.
Right. I mean, and usually, and you don't even, like I got a leaching field for a septic tank. I'm not growing food in that leaching field. Just because, I mean, it's not that purified. So I don't know that the crops would have really even grown. So,
New York City Department of Public Works has been working on a very interesting project where they're taking raw sewage and treating it, heating it. So it's a very highly accelerated composting process. And they're hoping that one day in the future that 100% of human waste could be retreated so that it could be
right.
crops.
Idealistically, I mean, you cook it hard and fast and quick enough, just burn it up. You're killing any bad bacteria real fast. You're pretty much killing everything in it, but
it's
expensive process, but that's what they're working on right now. And I think it'll change the way we eat.
Well,
in years.
The problem is we change the way we eat. So there's a lot more chemicals coming out of us, just like there's a lot more because they're going in.
Well, boys, it sounds like we need to invest in the shit business.
No.
It's all just invest in big shit.
I stay on the
That's
other
a
side.
really shitty idea.
I'm just gonna make some food.
Invest in big shit.
That's gonna be our food. That's how we're gonna generate food under the Cybercratic Party.
Yes.
Cybercratic Party's new ecological movement.
That's our Green New Deal.
It was
the brown New Deal.
The Brown New Deal.
Cybercratic Party.
Yeah.
Oh, you weren't here for that.
Yeah.
We were talking to Shirley on the show, and
we magically make all the guns in the world disappear.
Yeah, for real.
You might actually get me to vote. The Cybercratic Party.
Yeah, it's all robot controlled.
Yeah, robot controlled.
Wow. So I was gonna bring this up earlier and I got off topic. Rachel, I know you told me one time about the time you took salvia and got stuck for like 30 years. I was wondering, have you ever taken DMT?
No, but I'd like to. I have taken psilocybin.
I gotcha. There's I was asking because there's a similarity between pretty much everyone I've talked to who's taken it, where they get to a state of mind where they feel as if all life originates from the same source and that we are all the same consciousness. Basically the idea of nirvana, that we all return to like a group consciousness and that we're the same entity that split itself, fragmented itself into many different life forms. And it's just crazy how many people I've talked to like who have had that same experience. They just intuitively feel that way about it.
The one thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like everything else might be different about it, but that and a couple other things seem to be like consistent, you know. It makes me think it's not really calling it a psychedelic's not really even like
The word psychedelic means mental expansion.
it feels like a vehicle.
So if it feels like it expands you mentally, it's a psychedelic. I mean, you can call it really.
It feels like it puts you in another place. Like it just takes you somewhere else.
The documentary called The Spirit Molecule, I always thought put a really good name on it because they call it the Spirit Molecule.
Yeah.
I think they think that's what gave us the concept of God.
You would really enjoy the Pharmacratic Inquisition. I think I mentioned it to you, Alex. The Pharmacratic Inquisition talks about.
See, I don't know if I've watched some of that or I know I've heard of it.
Is this a show?
It was a 10-part. Well, I mean, it was back when YouTube you could only upload 10 minutes worth. It was like 10 parts of one hour-long thing. I don't know if it's still out there anymore because I think that was before the YouTube purge.
Pharmacratic Inquisition.
I think I have it saved somewhere. I don't know. Look it up. The Pharmacratic Inquisition.
I'm gonna write it down right now before I forget, because I will forget.
Alex is finally taking notes. Good.
The last book I remember you recommending to me was Kabbalion, which was really good. I read that.
Have you read it? Have you read it several times? Like
just once.
Information from it every time.
I definitely wasn't able to retain all of it, but I did read it once. Yeah.
Reread it. You know, it's worth rereading.
It's one of those books that's like, this is the book, you know?
Inspired by something I've read in
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, it gets into just.
Who's currently reading what?
Right now I'm reading a book called Perdido Street Station. It's, and I'm also reading a book called True Hallucinations by Terrence McKenna. But,
Anybody else?
Reading Condensed Chaos.
Yes, Phil Hines.
Yes. I like him better than the Peter Carroll fellow.
Yeah.
But still very good information, both of them.
Right.
Hold on, give me a second. I'm finding it. It should be right here. I just don't see it.
Oh, I can't read, so it's a problem.
I'm currently, reading this to my boy to put him to bed. It's a classic.
No way. That's a good one.
Oh, is that my copy?
Yes, sir.
Did you? Okay, you hold it up like you're reading it. Are you actually reading it?
Yes, I am currently reading it.
Or are you watching One Piece?
The Alchemist is my favorite
There's
book.
two different points in my life. I don't constantly watch television. I don't constantly read. The other one.
Mate, Marine.
Uh,
Oh, nice.
Invertebrates.
Yeah, The Alchemist is my favorite.
I'm reading
book.
that to my boy to put him to bed.
What is that? Treasure Island?
Treasure
Treasure
Island. That's a good book.
Yeah.
Classic. I was reading him some Conan, like original E. Howard, but it was getting a little over his head. It put him to sleep quick, though, let me tell you.
Perdido Street Station is really good if you like epic fantasy stuff. It's like a huge fantasy setting, but not borrowing any of the Tolkien elements. Like there's not ogres and orcs and fairies and elves and dwarves. Instead, there's like bug people, frog people, bird people, cactus people, and like it's its entirely own lore, but it's really expansive. It's neat. It's refreshing from reading like going from reading like Game of Thrones or Art of the Age of Myth or any of these other like epic fables. It's got all those elements that I enjoy about that, but it's with a refreshing take on it.
I went for years without reading anything fiction. I mean, I didn't read fiction most of my life. Just didn't do it, unless I had to in school or whatever.
It's really hard for me not to read fiction.
Now, I mean, I've read a bunch of fiction in the past 10 years, but yeah, I mean, I used to read a lot of theological and
it's hard for me to
philosophical and
focus
stuff like that,
if it's not fiction. If I'm reading like a textbook or something, it's hard for me to focus.
right.
I like getting lost in a universe, yeah. Isn't it weird how you can like just look at paper and hallucinate?
Look at symbols and they mean
Yeah, I
turn into
guess that
pictures
is
in your
weird.
brain. The symbol, all these little symbols, these lines turn into pictures in your brain.
It's like these little lines mean things to me for some reason, and then I get mind pictures.
They say words are magic. That's why they call it spelling.
Right.
Yeah.
Weaving spells, how you spell a word.
That's yeah.
One of my favorite Melvin's lyrics is pounded air patterns convey messages. And that's really exactly all it is. That's why it always cracks me up when people get offended or to talk about the power of words. And I'm like, it's really funny that shaping our mouth around an utterance of our throat can have such an effect,
Yeah, and what we're able to do with this, like,
right,
like a box with some strings on it, and like.
Well, I mean, just what initially was our caveman utterance of we've done nothing but shape that with our fucking mouth and learn to control our vocal cords a little bit differently, and that alone, called communication, I mean, that could decide whether you live or die. And that's, like you said, that's magic. That's what spelling is. When you can stand there and cast a spell on a crowd of people because you blah 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 blah, and they fucking bah, and they believe you.
This is something.
I love the sheep sound you do at the end of that, and then they just like a bunch of fucking sheep.
Right.
This is something I've been thinking about recently, and it's kind of macabre, but like I can't, like, I have glasses, I can't see very well. If I was born 300, 500, 1,000 years ago, I would basically just die because I can't like go catch my own food. Like if I didn't have like glasses and so I was thinking. You would
have been forced into adaptation like any other creature.
Or I would have died. So the chances are I wouldn't have had as good of chances. Yeah. I wouldn't have been able to outrun the tiger because I didn't fucking see it. Everyone just got up before me. So I was just thinking like that when natural selection gets like, genetic defects out of, that's what natural selection is. Like, but we're in a world now where you can live comfortably for the most part, completely blind or like disabled from the legs down. You can still live a life and live a long life because of the way we have society built up. And in a lot of those cases, you can even reproduce. And some of those problems are genetic problems. So as society gets more comfortable, we actually have more genetic defects.
Sounds awfully like eugenics there, Alex.
I'm not
It does.
suggesting. I'm not
I was gonna say
suggesting.
that too.
I'm not suggesting any like that we do anything about it. I'm just.
I'm suggesting we do something about it.
I mean, all I just said was what it sounded like. I didn't say an opinion on it. I just said it just sounds that way.
I mean, I don't think there's anything.
Phil,
We
Phil's
can.
grinning about like,
Philip's like, yes,
I like where you're going with this, man. Hold on.
Keep talking.
Well, yeah, I don't think there's anything we can do about it. But I mean, that's just an observation. That's just is what it is. Like, I mean, hopefully this won't be enough of an issue. But
Are you familiar with the rat utopian test?
yes, like all the
Same concept. That's what they think is happening to us.
I have seen the giant rat.
I mean,
villages
you
and
look
stuff.
you look at most of our mental issues back in the day. People talk about how advanced we are because medical science, right? And when you get into psychology, is kind of, it's not really that medical anymore. It's kind of a lot of guessing. And years and years ago, they're like, well, people had just thought demons were in you. And I'm like, well, I thought demons were in you if you had a fucking cold and it killed you. I mean, but we also,
I've heard people talking about the coronavirus being demonic.
well, I mean, think about it. It goes back to my, don't get me started on my tundra law.
The televangelists have all taken advantage of the corona. Like, I have a miracle from God, this miracle water.
Well, it's one of those things where,
real quick.
Shoot.
Like, who saw that whole thing about downtown Nashville where they had like basically a live on the green, but it was just everybody unmasked, a bunch of like super Jesus freaks, and they were doing like a church revival right there downtown by the courthouse. Did y'all
They were
see
masquerading as a protest.
masquerading as an anti-mask protest? Like, my only comment about it is that no mosh pits for anyone until mosh pits for everyone. I'll leave it there.
That's the first I've heard about this.
Oh.
Huh.
Really? You didn't see this thing?
No.
Dude, there was like 10,000 plus people downtown Nashville at the courthouse.
When?
Recently.
About a month and a half ago.
Did anybody get arrested for putting the event on? You hear about that in Australia?
I have no idea.
Australia, pregnant woman taken out of her
that.
home because she had posted on social media that she wanted to do an anti-COVID prevent or measures rally, basically an anti-mask rally. She posted putting together a rally. It was in Australia, and they came into her home and took her.
Australia has strict anti-rioting laws, and that one
Crazy laws
was
down
calling for a riot against people that were wearing masks. She was calling for violent upheaval, and they've got very strict laws regarding that.
And they strolled in and took her out of her house so they could take any device in the home. She was pregnant, about to head to get an ultrasound. They're like, we don't give a fuck. And what that boils down to is freedom of speech laws. Because.
But isn't Australia different than us?
Yeah, they don't have it. Just like Canada don't have it either. People don't realize that. What cracks me up is to see people in the streets in this country screaming about the rights they don't have, when really you have all these damn rights, just like the cops. The problem with the cops, I could fucking, get the fucking notebooks out and check out this equation.
There's a difference between freedom of free speech and then there's the right to incite violence. Now, it's freedom of free speech to say, I like to have a firearm in case there's a violent upheaval in the government. But it's illegal to say, hey, Devin, hey, Alex, let's go over here and kill Philip. Fuck Philip. Fuck that guy. Let's kill his.
Yeah, fuck him.
That is illegal.
And I'm cutting that out of context. Illegal?
Well, that's called that's a
That can be construed as
that's a
conspiracy.
conspiracy. That
Hold
goes
on.
under conspiracy law, which also says even deeper.
Hold on,
deeper
guys.
than
I gotta cut that out of context real quick and clip it just as a video of its own where Q tells us to murder Philip. Anyway.
What have you done?
I'm only
So-
gonna take offense at that if he kills my D&D character.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh, see
Then
that.
Everybody's
then-
got to die
then we'll have to-
sometime.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I see some for looming coming.
Try as you might, God, but
So
you'll
I
be
mean,
testing me.
so even in America we have, I mean, you can't yell fire
Well,
in a crowded
right.
theater unless
No,
there's a fire.
But my
Right.
point being is, and I'm not even talking to you're talking to an anarchist about laws. I personally don't think any of those lawsuits. I personally think you should be able to say, "Hey, man, go kill that motherfucker." And you know what? I think if that motherfucker goes and kills that dude, it's his fucking fault.
Personal responsibility.
I mean, why do I have the ability to control somebody else when I don't want somebody else to have the ability to control me?
I think the gray area is like,
And now we put that on the government. We say the government has the ability to do that, but anybody else decided to try to do that, we're going to throw them in prison for what they told you to do. Even though you did it, you'll go too, but they're going to go for conspiracy.
The idea of a conspiracy is what is the line between talking about something and planning something.
Right.
There's a very fine line between those things, where one of those things is protected under free speech, the other is not, and could be considered conspiracy against the law.
Right. How many people have? Do you know that it's not even a conspiracy thing when you make a threat on the president?
Yeah.
But that got thrown out the window this past 8 years, past 4 years rather. But the prior 8, you would have thought that was the most enforced law on the fucking planet. Even when Bush was in office, it was not really looked at. But technically, if you make an open threat about the president, that's treason, and they can come yank you away and throw you in Guantanamo.
Yeah.
But you see people all over Facebook, blah, 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 blah. I hope that motherfucker dies. I hope blah, blah, blah. Nothing.
It's one thing to say that you hope someone dies. It's another thing to say, I'm going to go over there and kill that person.
Well, I'm talking about presidential law. I'm not talking about conspiracy law. I'm talking about making a treasonous statement against the leader of the country.
You can say that you hope the president dies.
I know that. Well, that's a simple example. I'm talking about I've seen much worse said. You know what I'm saying? Seen much worse said, and nothing happens. There's a guy. This is back in when Obama was in office. There was a military guy. He was former military, and he had gone to the Apple store, and he got frustrated in there, and he had gone home, and he was watching Fight Club. We're all familiar with that movie, right?
mm-hmm.
You know the scene he goes in and he's talking to his boss about the
Yeah, and he beats the shit out of himself.
No, not that.
Oh.
When the boss finds the paperwork on when he finds the Fight Club rules on the copier, and he says, that might have been written by somebody that might come in here with an Armalite, blah, 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 blah. And he went through that little spiel about taking out coworkers. Well, this guy posted almost word for word that identical fucking statement on Facebook. All right. Except he changed it to talking about the Apple store. Within a couple of hours, a knock was on his apartment door. There was a suit and 2 MPs with rifles. And he said he thought it was some form of military stuff from when he was in ballistics. And they came and sat down with him, and they started asking him all this stuff. And he said by the time he realized what was going on, he thought it was a joke. He laughed. He said the DVD was on in the back room playing. And he goes, that's a scene out of a movie. He got hit with federal, conspiracy to terrorism charges. And the judge told him, I will give you a suspended sentence on this because of the situation. So he still basically had a year probation of Guantanamo Bay lingering over him if he got a traffic ticket. All because he got on FB and da-da-da-da-da-da.
He made a stupid tweet. Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, FB isn't me. I've never signed a contract saying that this is me. They can put my name on it, yada, yada. It's not me. It's a representation.
So it doesn't really maybe hold well in
everybody in a movie. You know, if I watch a movie and that dude in there, you know, I'm watching a bank robbery on a movie and I decide to say that that's what I tried to do, that movie director, writer, actors all conspired to help me go do that ploy. And that's how we got with kids saying, TV made me do it. You do enough of that, then you get parental guidance stickers put on your music.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, you know.
It's a weird subject.
Yeah, it's craziness.
Like, I mean, people say bad things and people can say really harmful, destructive things. And then on the other end of that, it's like, would you rather the system be perfect, or would you rather have personal freedom to do bad things? I guess it's like kind of the heaven argument, right? Like, it's like, if everything's perfect and there's no sin and everything is flawless, then that's not a very human system. That's not something a human is. I mean, you know, there's the Garden of Eden story. We fuck it up. We're curious.
Oh, we fuck it up on Earth, all right.
Yeah.
We get turned.
Get turned. Yeah, we fuck shit up on Earth.
Earth go hard.
Yeah.
Raw.
Earth go hard. Well,
be raw dog in the ocean with all kind of.
Well, thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
That's fun.
I'm gonna put links to your SoundCloud and anything else you want down in the description so people can check out your music.
Oh yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You and me and me and you and you and me and me and you and you,
Yeah.
and you and me and you.
All of us, yeah.
Stop.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and everyone at home, thanks for watching with us, and have a good night or day or whatever it is that it is for you in your realm.